This week has been a challenging week for many, many beloveds. There has been, of course, the incredible violence that broke out in the Middle East. The war in Ukraine is still going on. And on a personal level, on this community level, there has been a lot of strife and challenge. And I would like to start today's talk with just acknowledging it, because it feels so challenging to step into what I want to talk about today, which is being the beloved community, without acknowledging that there are challenges in this world here on planet Earth. Yes? Yes. So I want to read to you what Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of our teaching, said. He declared, "The promise that comes from practicing a conscious sense of union with the divine is a deep, abiding peace, even in the midst of personal or planetary challenges. We can create a spiritual chain reaction which can bring peace in the midst of chaos." We can bring peace in the midst of chaos. And how do we do that? Well, in this teaching, we proclaim and we believe that we are all one, that there is one power, one presence, one divine activity. That's all. That's it. In our teaching, we do not have a deity out there somewhere that we can blame. We are called to find the peace within each one of us. We are invited to stand clearly in the time of despair and of strife and chaos in the world and declare that deep at the center of my being, I know that I am of that divine essence, and that every person here in this room, on our online campus, every person of each side of any conflict is one in the one. And beloveds, that is a very hard concept to be with when we are hurting. When the events of the week shook us up to our core. When we are struggling with this sense that life is somehow happening to us and that we do not have the power to stand and declare peace in our hearts or anywhere. That is why we often say this teaching, this philosophy, the science of mind, is not for the faint of heart. I think that's how we say it in English, right? It's not for the faint of hearted. And weeks like this one, I know why. And so before we start leaning into the beloved community and how we can cultivate our sense of belonging, I invite us all to just allow our eyes to close and take a breath and connect with a place within, a place where we know that we are the divine made manifest, that we are the ones. And from this place, we send love and peace, first and foremost, into our entire being, and then out into the world. Thank you. So today we are talking about belonging and beyond. We are in this wonderful month of stewardship, a focus that we take for an entire month to really ask ourselves, how am I called to support, to serve this community? And have you noticed the spiral has been growing? Some of you, especially the people who are new today, you might ask yourself, what is behind this spiral? Well, we are in the month of October when we are asking each beloved who calls this center their home to go within and connect with how are you to support this congregation, this community in 2024 financially. And there are 82 pendants, so 82 beloveds have taken the time to fill out the pledge card and said, this is how I am going to support the center. And I would like to take a moment and acknowledge everyone who has done that already. Thank you. A little later, we're going to hear from our beloved Marty Stevens, who is the head of our stewardship program this year, a little bit more. But I wanted to acknowledge this beautiful representation of the upward spiral. What we talk about here all the time, that every being is on their individual upward spiraling journey. Reverend Karen Russo started us off at the beginning of the month, giving us an overview. And then last week, we really dug down into that we each have an abundance consciousness. Each one of us, every person, has an abundance consciousness. And what that really is, it's all of the beliefs we have ever had about financial good. Am I worthy to receive my good? And this consciousness is it causes us to experience life, let's say it that way. This consciousness causes us to experience life. What does that mean? It goes before us, and it actually either attracts or repels the good that is available for each one of us. Now, wouldn't it behoove us to learn how to clear out any obstacles in that consciousness so that we can stand naked before the good that is ours to receive and be ready to receive it? That's the individual level. And then this week we are going to look more like how can this be widened into including the community, and what really is this thing we refer to as the beloved community. You might have heard the term, right? Beloved community. Most people probably think about Dr. Martin Luther King, who made this term very popular. But did you know that it actually came from a Harvard professor? And I am going to magically find that page where his name is, and you will be very impressed. Josiah Royce is his name, and he said, and this is in 1913, so just think back more than 100 years ago. He said, "My life means nothing, either theoretically or practically, unless I am a member of a community." Ooh, let's breathe into that. I don't know about you, but I have a little bit of a rebel inside me, right? I have a little bit of one, my life means nothing unless I am part of a community. So I had a little bit of that reaction to it. But then I studied more of what he meant by that. What he meant was that we each are more apt to be our highest and best if we are among people who believe or who strive towards the same good. Now, why might that be? Because we are not so busy defending ourselves or explaining ourselves or telling people what we stand for. We can show up in our glory and in our genius, and we can do the work that we are called to do. And you might ask, well, Reverend Karen, how do you know that? How do you know that? I'm glad you ask. I know that because I see it every day. I see it every moment I get to spend in this incredible community. I see it with people feeling called to create Taizés in the park, expos where we get to show what it is that we do, where people step into youth and family ministry and give their love to these young'uns to learn these principles. That's how I see it. I see it every Sunday morning by the people who choose to show up and come and participate and uplift not only this community, but the world. That's how I see it. The more we heal ourselves, which means we heal the wounds that we have picked up just by growing up on this planet Earth, the more we heal ourselves, the healthier we become, the healthier this community becomes, the healthier this world becomes. And that is what I believe Dr. Ernest Holmes pointed to and charged us with. So in 1913, Josiah Royce coined this term, and then he said he saw the community not as a static object, but as an all-embracing, radical idea of unity for the whole human race. Sounds a little bit like our teaching, doesn't it? Unity of the entire human race. And then, of course, Dr. King, Martin Luther King, really picked up this idea, and he wrote this manifesto of the beloved community, a place where all people come together and share equally in the goodness of life. And then he was assassinated. And his good friend, Thich Nhat Hanh, took this idea and he literally created the beloved community in different places in the world. We have people here in our community that are traveling through this plum village, it's called in France, and have experienced this place where he took this idea of the beloved community and created it right there. And you know what? This week, this challenging week, it became so clear to me that that is what we are doing here. We are creating, deepening the beloved community every time we gather. Every time we gather. If it is on a Sunday morning, if it is in a class, if it is in a workshop, a labyrinth walk, whatever, a bunch of people getting together to watch a movie. Our thriving circle ministry, our small groups. It matters not what the activity is. What matters is that behind it, at the very core of it, we are revealing the power of love. That's what we do here. And that's all that we do. At the beginning of the week, when the challenges were coming fast and direct, I was reminded of this reading by Dr. Howard Thurman. Many of you know it. It's called The Moment of My High Resolve. And I brought it to our vision group. We have a group here of about 19 beloveds who are coming together twice a month to hold and be and walk out the vision of New Vision Center. That's our charge. And so I'm going to read it to us here. I want to bring it in, and I invite you to make it personal. You know, we often read this when a new minister is installed or when a minister is ordained. This is the reading that is shared, because those are the deep moments where we remember why we are doing what we are doing. And don't mistake this just for the work that a minister does. As a matter of fact, I invite you to make it personal to you. What is your own ministry? What do you do to uplift, to make better in the world? I know that each person has something uniquely that they do. So I invite you to be with that while I read this, the moments of high resolve. Keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve. Despite the dullness and barrenness of the days that pass, if I search with due diligence, I can always find a deposit left by some former radiance. But I had forgotten. At the time, it was fully orbed, glorious and resplendent. I was sure that I would never forget. In the moments of its fullness, I was sure that it would illumine my path for the rest of my journey. I had forgotten how easy it is to forget. There was no intent to betray what seemed so sure at the time. My response was whole, clean, authentic. But little by little, there crept into my life the dust and grit of the journey. Details, lower-level demands, all kinds of cross-currents. Nothing momentous, nothing overwhelming, nothing flagrant, just wear and tear. If there had been some direct challenge, a clear-cut issue, I would have fought it to the end and beyond. In the quietness of this place, surrounded by the all-pervading presence of God, my heart whispers, keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve, that in fair weather or in foul, in good times and in tempest, in the days when the darkness and the foe are nameless or familiar, I may not forget that to which my life is committed. Keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve, that I may not forget that to which my life is committed. That I may not forget whose and whom's I am. That in the very center of each and every one of us is the divine. And it is waiting for us to let it out into the world. Through our words, through our action. We are the hands and the hearts and the mind of the divine. So what do we do with all of that? What do we do with that call that is placed upon our hearts in the midst of the wear and tear of life? We come back together. We come back together and we allow ourselves to be in places where people are reminding us why we are here, what we are doing, what is important. Jim Lockhart, one of the teachers in ministerial school actually, he said this: "We are more likely to express our inner greatness with the support of a strong spiritual community, which is a living system of beings interconnected for a higher purpose, each bringing their unique genius to the process of becoming." If I would have a magic wand, I would use it so that every person would feel deep in their core their genius, their magnificence. And then spend our days in finding ways to share that magnificence, to bring it into the world. For I believe that is a worthy use of this gift that we have been given called life. And so what does this all mean in the context of a stewardship? Of a month when we are really looking at what is it that we care for? What is it that we love, and how can we uplift it more? For sure, giving the pledge, giving our financial goods so that the work in this community can continue and can reach people who are currently not even aware that this teaching or teaching like this is available. But it is more, I should say, and it is more than that. It is asking ourselves, where and how do I show up embodying the beloved community? How do I take what I hear here on Sunday mornings out into the world? How am I the ripple for good? That is the question. Let this serve as the permission for us to do that. Just that, to go and be our genius in the world. I am grateful that we are on this journey together, that we support one another and love one another, and that we can be real and authentic however we show up. Thank you. And so it is. And now we're going to do just that. We are going to deepen into our own understanding of being one in the one. And we do that through a spiritual mind treatment, our form of affirmative prayer. And so I invite all of the practitioners and ministers in the room, online. I invite all of the beloveds to hold this consciousness with me. For just as clearly as we have an individual consciousness, there is a consciousness of this beloved community, of the New Vision Center. And so we are dialing into it. We are allowing it to come forth when we're taking a stand. And it is right here, where I recognize that love, peace, harmony, joy, abundance, the goodness of life is present in this now moment. How grateful I am to know that each beloved has access to this deep knowingness, and that the pattern of goodness is the very center of every beloved. And so I invite us to take a stand, to recognize that I am in the very center of our being. The I am a manifestation of the divine. The I am. It is from this place of deep knowingness that I speak my word. I speak a word of blessing for all of the prayer requests that have been submitted to our prayer ministry. I speak a blessing to all the people involved in the conflict and the people who are its effects. That in their very hearts, they know peace. They know that they are not alone, that the divine is with them every moment. And as we uplift ourselves into the collective consciousness, I know that we are uplifting every person, everywhere. There are moments that are beyond words, where we just feel our unity, our oneness. And so it is with a grateful heart that I simply place this word into the law, knowing that the eternal love and kindness of sweet spirit is at work. I call this good and very good. I let it be, and so it is.